Motivator. I am so excited this evening to be here with one of my good friends, Dr. Nisa Jenkins. And we're going to talk about planning for growth, allowing yourself to grow, and not really being the barrier to growth. So, Dr. Nisa, say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone, with the Growth Motivator tonight. Our topics and our call our free form of just I'm just excited about what we're going to be chatting about. Have some folks joining in with us, and they'll be able to tonight. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, earlier you and I were talking about professional development and growth, professional memberships, the value of professional memberships. So I know I personally hold 4 professional memberships, one with the American Health Information Management Association, the other, the American Academy of Professional Coders, the third, the American Health Information Management Association, and then fourth, the Healthcare Compliance Association. And so someone asked me one day, why are you a member of all 4 of those organizations? And my answer was simply, each of those organizations add value to me as a professional, but I also add value to them as a member. I've had an opportunity to speak at 2 of those organizations' national conference. I am going to speak at national conferences for the other 2 organizations. And so when you plan for growth, you take advantage of being a part of those organizations, and you need to be in the room. I think a lot of times we are so concerned about having a seat at the table that we lose sight of, you just need to be in the room and bring your own table. What do you think about that, Dr. Jenkins?
Yeah, I agree. Some opportunity to form our own take on what's going to work for us, what's best for us in our personal lives as we move forward in our lives. I think we can't be the people we need to be without determination throughout our and decide on what's going to work for us. For me, in terms of build perspective, we have to look at it from at the table, and if that means build to which we will join in from another table. But I think we don't have to be a point of having a barrier. It doesn't have to be a base because we feel like we can't get a seat at the in a particular seat on anything that we have an experience.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes we are waiting on someone to invite us to the table. And honestly, if you wait to be invited to the table, honestly, you're never going to be at the table. So you have to, number one, write out all the things that you want to do. And then you need to plant the seeds for growth. And I know earlier we were talking about how some of the seeds that were planted 10 years ago are now starting to manifest. They're starting to bloom. And that's as a result of, the relationships that we've established. And some people don't realize the importance of, relationships as they relate to growth.
Yes. I think you mentioned earlier growth mindset and should always, whatever our relationships, we should look for opportunities of growth, places within those relationships that are strengthening us. Um, I think that's to look away from those um, moments for us to have within something. We miss what the importance of it is. Those quick, what I call quick meet somebody really quickly, and then we don't. But yet there was something that was said. I think that to me is a point of growth. Okay, what did they say? What can I glean from that? I just think that all points is so look at growing in our careers. I think I shared with you earlier, the 32nd year of being a member of Management Association, and I was like, wow, that been thought about it until I Keith Olenek, and I was like, wow, that. Then I started to look at, okay, what's the value? Have I become the professional through that membership? And I think when I started out, I know that I could professional that I was at that moment is that I was linked to through that professional organization. And I don't know if there are some great resources that come, some great opportunities that we wouldn't. Dr. Campbell, you mentioned earlier, you talked about working opportunities and being able to present. We probably wouldn't have had you not been a member of organizations.
You know what? That Dr. Jenkins, you hit the nail on the head. I have been so blessed as a result of my relationships with professional organizations. My name has been spoken in rooms that I'm not even present in, and continues to be spoken in those rooms. And it's a result of being a part of professional organizations, being active, my volunteer opportunities. But it's the hard work. And people always say to me, you are always working. My friends, my family members, they say, you are always working. And honestly, I do it with a smile. But if I could be transparent for a moment, because I think a lot of people say, every time I see you, you're smiling and you always look happy. But what you don't see are the days when I'm sitting in my bathtub and I'm crying. You don't see the days when I'm in my car driving home from the office and I'm crying. Because many days I walk this journey alone with absolutely no help whatsoever. And so you probably are thinking, well, why are you still smiling? Because there's this inner strength that I have inside of me that allows me to keep going. And I plan out for the things that I desire to do. And I align myself with others that are in the growth space as well. So, for example,
yes.
If you want to write a book, you need to be in the room with others that are writing books, right? Because you can't really talk to someone about being an entrepreneur and they read about, entrepreneurship, but they've never been an entrepreneur. They don't understand the struggle. They may have seen it. They may have read a movie about it. They may have watched a YouTube movie about it. But until you experience it, it's different. So aligning yourself with individuals that have walked that path gives you that support. I also recently got involved with a coach. And so let me just give a shout out to my Speaker Way to Cash family, Ashley and Chris Kirkwood. Happy anniversary today. So I aligned myself with them and a mastermind family that has allowed me to expand my mindset and be with other like-minded professionals that are trying to grow and go down the same path that I'm traveling down. And it has been amazing. So you don't have to walk that path alone. But if you want to grow, you got to get in the room. You got to get in the room. If you're not in the room and you're just walking the path alone, it's difficult. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you it is difficult.
Yeah,
I have a quick question.
I agree.
You talked about getting in the room. So when you get in the room, how do you make sure you get noticed?
That is an awesome question. Dr. Jenkins, you want to take that first?
Sure. I think, first of all, when you see there's an opportunity to to make yourself known, an opportunity to introduce yourself. If you presented a resume of some sort, you do that, and then there's the opportunity to definitely introducing yourself to people and not being. This is what I have to say. There are times when there are faces that are not as friendly. You move to person. You don't get in caught up on the fact that some CEO is welcoming, because I can get in the room who feels the same way you do and will introduce yourself. And I was just recently meeting, right? And so when I walked in, and so one other person, so we introduced ourselves, and then a few at the table, they introduced themselves, and then the only woman at this table, but it was that the men that are not afraid to introduce themselves, it was great. And so about whether or not it's a male, female, your business cards ready, your information ready, change. I think it's important, and I think relationships through some of those.
Absolutely. And I want to share with you a story recently. I attended an evening networking event, and I was running a tad bit late. And so when I got there, everyone else was there. And there was probably only one or two individuals that I knew. And so my personality, if I'm in the room, I'm in the room, okay? If I'm in the room, it means that I was meant to be in the room. I'm not going to be intimidated about being in the room, and I'm going to let everybody know who I am. But I'm also going to be very strategic. So let me explain to you what happened. So of course you look at me, and I look very young, right? Even though on Saturday I am celebrating my golden birthday. So excited about that. So we're sitting at this table, right? And this is a hospital administrator space. And this gentleman to my left says to me, "So, who do you work for?" And I said, "Oh, hi. My name is Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, and I'm President CEO for Physician Practice Resources. We are headquartered in Midlothian, Illinois." And then he says, "Oh." So then he says, "Well, what do you guys do over there?" "We provide clinical documentation improvement, medical coding, provider education and training." So first thing, you need to be ready to present who you are.
Yes.
That's number one. So then he says, "Well, how long have you been doing it? I said, well, me personally, I started in healthcare in 1992, and Physician Practice Resources was established in 2002. So, number one, he assumed because I looked young that I worked for somewhere else. Number two, that I was not as accomplished as I am. But I don't have to wear a shirt on my back or wear a name badge on the front that says I have a doctorate degree. I got a plaque on the wall and student loans to prove that I have that. But he assumed that when I sat down that I looked young, et cetera, et cetera. So now, after I explained who I was, I said, so what do you do? Turns out he's a student at some university, was 20 years younger than me. And so it was like, So now his assumptions about who I was and what I did, the tables were turned. So how do you prepare to be in the room and walk confidently and sit confidently in the room is the question. So number one, you got to practice before you get there, right? So you need a coach. You need someone that can help you walk through what you're going to say when you get in that room. Maybe you don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know what it is you're doing today. Maybe you hate what you're doing today. I was recently in an environment where someone said, you know what? I work for, I'm not going to say where, let's just say they work for a school system and they don't want to do that anymore. And so I said, well, what's your plan for growth? What's your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan? They don't have one. Well, guess what? There's this old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so oftentimes, I think we have this old school mindset where, well, I've been on my job for 25 years, so I'm just going to stay there and retire. And how many people know that the people who working at Walmart as the greeter worked on their job for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and the benefits are not what they used to be, and they were unhappy in those jobs when they could have left that job after 20 years and started over somewhere else and been much happier. But people are afraid to change.
Yeah.
And that fear is what's holding you back. Sometimes all you got to do is close one door to allow 10 other doors to open. That happens with employment. That happens with relationships, friendships. I've had some friendships that, were for a season. So, Dr. Jenkins, what do you think about making changes, taking first steps, writing books, exploring new things? What do you think about? Is it scary but worth it?
Worth it. And yeah, it can be. It is something new. It's a change. Is to come when you take worth it. I think it one of those things you have to do in order. I know for me, to a publisher more recently, not going on. It took me at least a year. It seems like a year to finally get things. I'd lost some documents. Of course, those was kind of, I don't know how I lost some things that I have one thing still, right? And so Lenten season, I'm doing to some things that I started. And so her and she was like, this is great. ABCD with this. And it was like, yes, I was up because it had taken me so that I probably could have done a year because I couldn't find certain documents. All those things asked about. And then I finally, when I was able to move forward, but I definitely think that take that chance as Steve Harvey, we have to move forward and try those things out. Especially people say you can't do something you want. I remember it being years ago, a dentist's office who was a well-known, some of the children went, they just didn't think you were going with your life, and where they got that from, I really motivated or what have you, but that motivated me to move forward in my life or to continue to grow education. So I think we make that jump and move forward in our life.
And you know what? All you got to do is just take one step forward, and it's amazing of how easy it is to take another step. I think our producer has another question.
Yeah, so we're talking about basically changing your mindset and kind of taking those leaps of faith out there and doing something different. So where would you say you get the strength from to make those decisions that you've made over the years? Where does your inner strength come from?
So I will tell you, for me, I believe my inner strength comes from my grandfather. My grandfather is 102 years old. And being 102, you know that he grew up in a time where life wasn't easy. And so that's one. But also my grandmother Ruby, Miss Ruby, was the strongest woman that I know. So those two individuals, they grew up in a time where life wasn't easy. And so the foundation that I think I have from them is what gives me that strength, that motivation. But then I think the third thing, being a parent of a special needs child, now adult, who is 31 years old, raising her as a single parent, having to do a lot of things by myself. And you probably notice I keep saying by myself. I find myself doing a lot of things by myself. And sometimes I get a little weary. But when I see the benefits, the outcome, I just start smiling inside and out. And I say, girl, you did that. But it allows me to motivate others, because what you have to realize, what you go through is not just for you, it's to encourage others. I didn't realize this until recently. When I go to conferences or I'm out and about, somebody will say to me, you encourage me. And I'm like, me? I see all the things that you're doing. Keep up the hard work. You motivate me to just keep going. And I'm like, so that is also what keeps me going, because I realize that people are watching me. So I'm doing it for everybody else that doesn't have that inner strength to do it for themselves. Our producer has another question.
So how does it make you feel when you're pouring into others? So as you're getting those people coming up to you, you're actually pouring into them. And what do you get out of that?
So what do I get out of it? For a long time, I asked myself that question, because I often feel like I pour so much into others. And sometimes I feel like I don't have anybody pouring into me. And so that's why I got to cry so I can release some of the pain, the hurt, the loneliness that I feel. as an entrepreneur, a solopreneur. Sometimes I'm at the desk doing envelopes. Thankfully, I have my Aunt Phyllis who comes in and helps me. So I'm blessed to be able to pour into others because I want to see them grow, but I also want to see them maybe not make some of the mistakes that I made, maybe not have some of the same struggles that I made, that I had to go through, because along the way, I've learned some easier ways to do things. I've made some costly mistakes that had I had some of the tools that I have today, I wouldn't have made those mistakes. So there's this one lady, Martha, who I trained at Stanford Brown College. And every time I see her, she tells me how much I poured into her and how much I helped her grow. And so now I'm tough now. If you ever have an opportunity to be in my class, listen here. I am going to be hard on you because I believe if you decide that you want to learn whatever I'm teaching, medical coding, medical billing, health information management, I believe that you should get 110% of what I got in this big old brain because I want you to be better than me. I want you to have more than what I have so that you can grow. Dr. Jenkins, what you got to say?
I was just really thinking through the question in terms of where the strength comes from, the motivation. You know, I'm a church girl, been a church girl all my life. My spiritual walk is important. With Christ is important to me, and my mom, my bone of our family, the matriarch of our family, for us throughout motivating me was things that people said I do, and she'd be in my corner the whole on. And then after my mom stepped up to continue to push, I just think that those family relationships. It was a time when I didn't, and now the older that I've got to lean in, so I need a dose of family. It doesn't matter who I be, any particular family member, but I believe being in a certain location, and so I'm able to glean more strength, but definitely family, and shout out to Dr. Juanita Brooks, who was my peer at FAMU, and she was in my life who taught me how to see the importance of understanding what in integrated schools when Blacks were certain schools, and how she's through just studying and so I just have never forgotten her. She had on my life. So and I think she's since then gone on to be. That was a major motivation, and it's this day, right? I still hold and some of the people that I met those wee hours of the morning, to have those relationships and to make it a point to never forget the people who have me, and who have helped me along the city it's in. But I think that motive want to let those people down, and I want to of what and how they helped me along the way. So shout out to those folks who have really today. I think that's just so important in our lives.
Absolutely. My pastor, I still call him my pastor, even though he's in heaven, Bishop Willie James Campbell. I know for sure the prayers that he prayed over us are still helping me hold it together because he really taught us to never lose our confidence. And so that keeps me going. And really, another thing that keeps me going, I got some big dreams. I want to do a TED Talk. I'm going to do a TED Talk. I see myself in my dreams on big stages having a huge impact on the world. You know, this little brown girl from the south side of Chicago who went to Finger High School, who had no aspirations to go to college, who today, you know, has a doctorate degree. Dr. Jenkins, did you ever imagine that you would have a doctorate degree?
I did not. Education was always important to us, right? And it wasn't that conversation that we had to have families like my family. We had repeatedly, hey, you're going to school, undereducated. But then once or twice that we were going to school, and time when you were in your senior year, you're filling out those applications and you filled out that application, you grab the tax and everything. And then when it's going, you got on a Greyhound bus. So we always knew we were going to college. You were just going to college. And so that opportunity, and then again, getting to like HBCU for me was phenomenal, to Florida and University, being that I am without having the opportunity who looked like me in the capacities that they were. So that to me was one of the experiences that I will hang on to. And once you finish doing degrees, there were more things that I wanted to, bigger jobs that I wanted to have. Learning is perpetual for me. So I just say that I think once I got to the always as excited about degrees now, but yeah, I am what he's allowed me to do. I know that I have the opportunities that I'm a little bit older now, so I don't do 50 much. I'm not like Dr. Campbell used to be, down for me a little bit now, and just trying to enjoy life a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, it's been really amazing catching up with you. I can't wait to see you this weekend.
Yes.
I am looking forward to celebrating my golden birthday. And of course, it's a golden birthday with all of my friends, family, colleagues that are going to be there for the evening. I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
So I love you. And I appreciate you for jumping on with me tonight. And I'll see you soon.
And I just want to say to everyone who's listening, give. If you learn, say that, and it has stuck with me always. Important that we can continue to do, help others along the way. Somebody on you to be who God has called you to be. God has called them to be. We all have something. Dr. Campbell, I'm excited about coming into Chicago a little bit early, ready, and we going to time this weekend. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.